It's 10 o'clock and time for the Accidental Show. Please welcome your host, James Campbell.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Saturday morning, which means it's time for the Accidental Show. My name is James Campbell, and I'm a writer and an author and loads of other stuff as well. And this is my daughter, Daphne, who is our co-host. Good morning, Daphne. How are you?
Good morning.
Excellent. Daphne this morning is actually Wednesday Addams, and I am dressed as Gomez Addams. Daphne, Halloween's quite a big event in our house, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've always done trick-or-treating right from when you were a baby. Can you remember the different costumes that you've had?
Yes.
What were they?
First I was a pumpkin, then I was a ghost, then I was a witch, then I was a vampire. Now I'm Wednesday.
Excellent. So that's all five of your Halloweens. Excellent. My favourite trick-or-treating story, before I had any children, a very, very long time ago, when I was with my first ex-wife, and we lived in Glasgow. And in Glasgow, trick-or-treating is a bit more scary than it is everywhere else. And it's more like demanding money with menaces. And what happened is on Halloween, the door would start going, and strange people would turn up, but they would never be in Halloween costumes. I remember one time I opened up the door and Spider-Man was standing on the doorstep, and I was like, that is not very. Spider-Man is not Halloweeny, and he just went.
Spider-Man is technically Halloweeny because
Why?
it's a Halloweeny and he's
Because Spider-Man is technically Halloweeny because
and also you can dress up as what you want on Halloween.
Can you dress up as what you want? Because one Halloween, I opened the door to find 3 Egyptian belly dancers just dancing on the
Yes,
doorstep.
you can dress up as what you want.
You dress up as what you want. Okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm not even going to get to the punchline of that story because it's just going to get walked all over, isn't it? So let's tell you what's going on today's show. First of all, I should let you know that today's show is being recorded for YouTube purposes. But unless you are actually talking and on the main screen, then you don't get recorded. So if you go, I don't want to be recorded, then if you don't, then just don't talk. Be fine. We have got a packed show today. Some people might say that I've accidentally booked too many guests, but it's not true. We've got exactly the right number of guests. I'll tell you what we've got coming up later. We're going to meet Jonathan Mears. You can see what gives away Jonathan. Jonathan has a resplendent beard there, and he's doing his best sailor impersonation. Jonathan writes wonderful books, probably best known for the World of Norm series, which we love here on the Accidental Show. And he's going to be talking about his new book, which is called Scaredy Bat, which apparently isn't particularly Halloweeny, but it's got a bat in it. Daphne, are bats Halloweeny? Yes, we get the Daphne approval. That's good then. Also later on, we're going to meet Ted Giles. He's on the screen there. He's got a toadstool on his head. Or maybe that's his hair. I'm not entirely sure. But he's going to be, Ted makes computer animations, and he's made a character for us today. And he's going to tell us a little bit about how he does it, which is very exciting. We're also going to meet Donna Grant. There's Donna there with the glasses on. Hello, Donna. Now, Donna is the closest I can find to an actual witch. We'll talk about that later. And coming up very soon, we're going to meet Trudi Esberger. Hello, Trudi. Yeah, so Trudi is an author and an illustrator. She is amazing at crafty stuff. I was looking at Trudi's Instagram a while ago, and it seems to me like she just makes things every day. Every day she makes some things, and it's amazing. Trudi is the sort of person that can like go to the beach and like grab a bit of driftwood and then take it home and then spray it with glitter and then put it on the wall, and everybody goes, wow, that's amazing. Whereas if I do that, people will go, why have you stuck a bit of wood on the wall? So that's the sort of person Trudi is. We're also, who else have we got on? I think those are all the guests. Kirsten O'Brien is going to read the news for us today, which is very exciting. Kirsten does read the news for local BBC radio, so she should be quite good at it. So that's going to be happening at 10:30, and those are all things that are going to happen on the show. Also, we've got Griff the Sheep. How is Griff today? I can't quite see you.
Ho, ho! Happy Halloween!
Griff, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing Santa Claus, the Halloween imp.
Okay, did you get the email?
I can't read.
Oh, right, okay, I'm going to stop trying to communicating with you by email. What I said was maybe you could wear a Halloween costume because that would be funny.
I am wearing a Halloween costume.
You You're wearing a Santa hat.
Yeah, Santa Claus, the Halloween imp.
I'm gonna tell him.
Hang on, Daphne wants to tell you.
Santa is more like Christmas than Halloween.
I think you're mistaken because you're just a little girl and you haven't had the many years that I've had on this earth to celebrate Santa Claus, the Halloween imp.
Right. Okay. Daphne, what do you think about that?
I think that he doesn't know that Santa is someone in Christmas because it's probably just a puppet.
Don't say he's just a puppet. He doesn't know. He's not self-aware. Just tell him he's made of polyester and his brain's made of fingers.
You're made of polyester and your brain's made of fingers.
Yeah.
Wow, she got it right verbatim.
Exactly. Well, it's good to see you, Griff, and we look forward to hearing more from you during the show. Now, and during the show, we're going to ask you, we always get you to try and do something, don't we? So this week, Trudy's going to show you how to make a monstery, I don't know what it's called, but she'll tell you, which is going to be wonderful. But last week, Kirsten showed everybody how to make some dancing dragons to tie in with the book we were reading, which was wonderful. And but this week, so let's find out what happened last week. That's what I'm trying to say. What happened last week? Oh, marvelous. I absolutely love that. Some great entries there. I particularly like Ophelia. Ophelia's parents are never getting that baking tray back, are they? But I like the way, because last week the ingredients we needed were pens, paper, coloring stuff, paint, glue, and a baking tray. I thought the baking tray was going to be sort of something where you'd perhaps fold something around it and then give the baking tray back. But no, the baking tray is lost forever. So there we go. I think I really liked Ayana's contribution there, and so I think we should go with that.
I thought we agreed no more dragons. They're scary. It's not like Halloween with snow and elves and trees. That's what Halloween's all about. Dragons is scary.
Yeah, no, you really misconstrued the whole thing. And I appreciate that dragons are very scary to you because in a lot of dragon genres, they do eat sheep. I'm aware of that, particularly in Cressida Cal, but we don't talk about her because she's the children's laureate. Yeah, in the world of, we've read a couple of How to Train Your Dragon, haven't you? What do dragons eat?
Dragons eat fish.
Oh, actually, I'm wrong. They eat fish. Hey, guess what? I think you're safe. I think you need to stop being afraid of dragons, Griff.
They don't eat sheep.
As easy as that. Happy Halloween.
I tell you what, though, Griff, later on, when we talk to Donna Grant, who is the closest I could find to an actual witch, she does have healing powers and is going to show us some really useful skills to help with anxiety and fears and worries. So maybe she can help you with your fear of dragons.
Well, maybe. Have you paid her enough?
Yes, I have.
Oh, good.
So, marvelous. So, Ayana, congratulations. So this week, Trudi, are you there?
Hello, Gomez. Hello, Wednesday.
Nice to meet you. So you're pretty handy with a pair of scissors and some sticky stuff, aren't you? So what are you going to show us how to make this week, Trudi?
So this week, I thought I would show you all how to make a little book full of monsters.
Oh, God.
Can I make a book full of monsters?
You can.
It's very simple to make, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So all you need, first of all, is a sheet of paper. It can be A3 or A4, which is sort of normal printer size. And you need to fold it into 8 equal segments. So it's folded into 8. And then you have to cut. So when it's folded in half like that, you just cut down that middle bit there. So if I show you it opened out, you can see there's a kind of gap in the middle. Woo.
So Trudi, which bit do we cut? We're a bit confused. So
when it's folded like that way.
Oh, I did it the other way. I've messed it up. Hang on.
You fold it that way.
Yeah.
And then you just cut.
Oh, just cut one of those lines.
Yeah, one of those lines, yeah. I'll hold it on the screen for a minute.
Wonderful.
When you've got your piece of paper all folded up, then all you have to do is draw some blobby shapes or spiky shapes, whatever kind of shapes you like, all over. And it doesn't matter if they overlap the kind of folded lines. You just draw blobby shapes, any kind of shapes you like. I've chosen Halloweeny colours, but you can do any colours. And I've used paint, but you could use felt tips or pencil crayon, whatever you've got. And then when you've done that, you can fold it into a book, and then you just add googly eyes or scary teeth.
Or sharp sheep-eating teeth.
Sharp, well, yeah, there could be, Griff, sorry.
Ah.
There could be sheep-eating teeth. But you could just go for kind of Halloweeny spiders. And
Halloweeny elves and snowmen.
Yeah, maybe Santa Claus in there. You know, whatever you like, Griff, really.
Yay!
So that's it. It's really simple. And you end up with a book, and you can add text, you could add speech bubbles, you could add a little story in there, whatever you like, but you end up with this fab book of monsters.
Okay, I love it. I love it. So, so does it then fold back? I'm still confused with the folding, to be honest.
Folding. Sorry, I should have. So when you've got it like this, and you've got your hole in the middle.
Yeah.
You kind of fold it like this.
I'm drawing a picture of me.
Oh, right.
So you end up with that.
Yes, and then it turns into a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do that later. There's, you know, when you get to a point in your life and you realize there's some things your brain can't do. This is one of the things. I don't know. If you want me to make you a world, I can do that, but I can't fold a piece of paper. Sorry. Marvelous. Daphne, how are you getting on with this? This is good. Basically, what we've got is a piece of paper with a hole in it. Yeah, it's great. It's lovely. It's beautiful. And there's some very nice monstery type pictures on there.
That's perfect. That's perfect. It doesn't really need to look like a book. It can just be a page full of monsters, if that's better.
Yeah.
It can be a big poster full of monsters. It doesn't have to be a folded book. Folding can be quite difficult.
Marvelous,
Yeah.
lovely. Okay, well, we'll see how you get on with that, and then if you need to start again, then that's also fine. We'll come back to you in a bit, and we'll see how you're getting on. Thank you, Trudi. Wonderful stuff. So now I'd like to go over to Donna Grant. Now, Donna is up in the Highlands of Scotland, and Donna, how are you this morning?
Well, Gomez, thank you. Very good.
Lovely. Now, like I said to everybody, you're the closest I could get to a witch. So, as far as I understand it, you live up in the middle of the mountains somewhere, and you heal people using mysterious spells and chants and things. Is that what you do? Are you a witch, Donna?
Close, very close. Well, I help people find the magic within themselves to help transform themselves, whether that's, working with different tips and tools to do that. So in a sense, I am. It's not the first time I have been called one. You're quite correct.
Okay. So it says on your Instagram, you're an energy psychologist. What is that?
Well, it's really an umbrella term for using a whole different kind of therapeutic approach to looking at our emotions and our mind-body connection, our feelings, and how our thoughts and our belief systems program how we react to things in the world. So that's what it is. And there's lots of different ways of looking and unhooking unhelpful bits, like feelings that are a bit yucky. Basically.
I see. Okay. So with Griff, have you met Griff before? So Griff is afraid of dragons. Can you give him any advice on that?
Yes, absolutely. absolutely, Griff. Dragons are the keepers of the earth. They are magical. So you might be running some avoidance about dragons. Maybe you need to make them your friends, and maybe I can help you with that.
But they eat sheep. That's what I am.
Not all dragons eat sheep, I promise you.
Okay.
And what feeling do you feel about that, Griff?
Fear.
Fear.
Mortal fear.
And do you know where in your body the fear is, Griff?
About 2 feet below me.
Right. So you might want to stamp on that a bit.
All right.
Wonderful. Now,
Push that down, Griff. Get rid of it. Doesn't help. Right. Might
Lovely.
never happen.
Marvelous. Now, Donna, you're also an actress, aren't you? And so some people might recognize you from the CBBC program Young Dracula. And in that, you played a character called Magda, who was the most evil woman in the world.
She was.
Was it lots of fun? Was it lots of fun playing a baddie?
So much fun. And absolutely, this is the time of year that I will bring out my old Magda. But I kind of went from being the most evil woman to a nice good witch now, James. So, you know.
Wonderful. So is there something you'd like to share with everybody at home?
For sure. So, I mean, what I do, I work with a lot of children. Yeah. Well, I'm just seeing your comments coming up. So if you have any questions, you can run them by me. But like I was saying to James, we have this ability within ourselves to kind of be our most magical selves. And I want to show you how to do that. So show me your hands. I want to see your hands, please, everybody. Wednesday. Thank you very much. We have points on our bodies, guys. And what I want you to do is just tap on these points that I'm doing. It's kind of like a spell. But what we're actually doing is making friends with our feelings as we do this, right? So you might want to think of a yucky feeling that you don't want right now. There's one at the side of your eye there. And as we do this, you can kind of tune into your body and the feelings that you're having, right now. So, for example, Griff has got fear about a dragon, right?
Yeah, justified fear.
Right. Okay. Justified fear. So we want to find where perhaps fear would be in your body. And sometimes we could do this by using your amazing imagination. So just tapping on the points that I'm tapping on now, and then thinking of a feeling that you might not want. So maybe it's fear, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's anger. And then going back to these points and just thinking about what color it is. And this is kind of how we get rid of these emotions. Somebody has a question. So keep tapping on these points. And then I want you to think about what shape that fear is. Could be a triangle. It could be a circle. What's your shape, Griff?
It's an enormous maw of a dragon filled with teeth.
Okay, so what do you want to do with your dragon, Griff?
Run away from it.
Okay, so that's your fight or flight. So if you could make the dragon really small, what would you need?
Some kind of magic spell or a potion.
Right. Let's do a magic spell in your head. So I want you to take a deep breath, Griff, please, and everybody else. And I want you to use your imagination to think, okay, what would I do with the fear? What do you want to do with that sadness or that anger? And sometimes it helps to think of a really calming color that might help. What color are you going for, Griff?
Still holding my breath.
Don't breathe, Griff. It's important to breathe.
Oh, a soothing blue.
Lovely. Let's do the soothing blue. Bring it into your body and take a deep breath. And then I want you to see if it's getting bigger or smaller, the fear.
Well, the spell's made the dragon smaller.
Great. So we're doing a spell of our own. Okay, so it's kind of using your imagination to think, what would I like to do with the rest of it? The fear. If the fear, we could get rid of it in some way, what would you like to do with it?
If I put it in a box, then at least I can use it later.
Okay. You could use it later. Fair, good idea. If anybody else has any idea what they'd like to do with any of those feelings, because ultimately fear is stopping you being your best self, right? Your superhero self. So yeah, there's a potential there. feeling relaxed. Good. That's great. So I want you to carry on tapping and take a nice deep breath, everybody. Now we're going to really use our imaginations as you close your eyes and you just see wherever in your body you're feeling maybe some fear or sadness, and you take the control to choose what you want to do with it. So if you have any suggestions, you can share them with me. You might want to jump up and down on it. You might want to let it go in a balloon up to space. Or you might want to blast it in a rocket. Just see, you want to throw it out the window, Trudi. Brilliant idea. So I want you really to see that in your imagination now and see what's happening. If it's a higher number or a lower number, the fear. Maybe give it a number. Keep tapping. Back to the top of the head. And now we can say, if we're working with fear, all that fear. And just saying that outside, what you'd like to do with it, chucking it out the window, side of your eye. I trap it in my sister's room. Oh, that's a very good idea. Under your eye, any other ideas what you'd like to do with emotions that are stopping you from being your best self? Top of your lip. All that fear. How are you doing there, Griff?
I feel much better.
Woohoo! In fact, could you make friends with your dragon?
Well, maybe one day I'll take him out of this box and we'll go for dinner.
Okay, brilliant. So how are we all feeling? How did that feel to do that exercise? Does it feel like you're feeling?
I'm feeling really lovely. How did you, Daphne, how did you feel?
I felt good.
You felt good. Fantastic. Wonderful. I've got some lovely questions here in the chat. So Christina, who I know does interesting witchy things, she asks about crystals. Do you use crystals?
You know what? I have crystals. They're not my go-to, but I totally love crystals. I think they're great. And I think dragons really like crystals too. And if I'm not mistaken, Griff, they might actually eat them. I'm not sure, but yeah. I'm not. Oh,
Perhaps I'll have to do some research.
That's a good idea.
Excellent. So Donna, do you do, so people come to you, don't they, for help?
Yes, they do.
And what sorts of things do they come to help? What sorts of issues do they come with? What do you deal with?
Well, you know, I like to empower people to feel their best selves, James. And, you know, and that comes from very small, you know, issues from like stress or anxiety or big problems that, you know, are going on in your life. And people from age 5 and upwards. I've got a guy who's 90. So we've got a big range, and everybody at some point needs a little help. And it's really about understanding and making friends with the feelings in our body. And then we help shift them so you can feel your best self.
Wonderful. And if people wanted to find about more about what you do and what you offer, how would they do that?
They could go to my website, which is www.sourcehealth.co.uk actually. Or just check me out on Instagram, which is Donna Source Health.
Wonderful. Well, we've got those details in the email that everybody gets after the show. But if you're watching this on YouTube, then go to Accidental Show and register so that you can come and see the show live, because it's much better live, I think. It's much better to join in. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Donna. We might come back to you later, depending on what on earth happens in the rest of the show that nobody has any control of. Round of applause for Donna. Thank you very much. Thank you. Trudi, did you enjoy that?
I did. It's all gone out the window. I feel really relaxed.
Wonderful.
Really good. I'm gonna do that more often.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've made. Oh, hang on. You've made your book. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Wednesday.
Let's unfold it and see. What does it say? What's inside?
This. It's gonna scare everyone's head off.
It's gonna scare everyone's head off.
Not anymore. My fear's in a box.
Well done, Griff. You've been healed. So yes, let's see what's inside. Fantastic. Some scary pictures in there. Very nice. Well done, Daphne. That's amazing. Thank you very much. So yeah, send a photograph or a video into accidentalshowcomp@gmail.com, or just stick it on the internet with the hashtag accidental show, and that way one important member of our team will pick that up, and then it can be into next week's competition, and we'll have a winner. So Ayana, who won last week's competition, what's her prize? Remember what her prize was? I think it's going to be a copy of The Night Silver Promise, which was the lovely book written by Annalise Avery, which had all the dragons in it. So she's going to get a signed copy of that, which will be worth a fortune in about 1 million years' time. Trudi, do you have any of your book about the bees? Do you have any of those still knocking around?
Not with me, I'm afraid, but yes.
Well, we can get one. We can get one, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So maybe a signed copy of your book. And also, shortly, in like about 10 minutes' time, we're going to be meeting Jonathan Mears. Maybe we can twist his arm and he can send a signed copy of Scaredy Bat to whoever does the best monster book this week. But look at the time.
The time is 10:30. And now the news.
This week, the news is read by Kirsten O'Brien. Good morning, Kirsten. How are you today?
Good morning. I am very well. Thank you very much. I haven't got anything on my head, have I? I keep feeling a bit itchy, but there's nothing.
There might be something there.
It's a Christmas spider.
Yay! Yay! I have 4 news stories for you. Would you like to hear them?
Yes. What's going on in the news today, Kirsten?
Well, you might have heard of little Amal. She is a 10-year-old refugee girl, but like no other, because she is 3.5 meters tall and she has 4 people puppeteering her, and she is set off on an epic journey. She started in July, going through Turkey and Greece and Italy and France and Switzerland and Germany and Belgium. She's arrived in the UK. So she's currently in Sheffield. So if you're anywhere around there, you might go and see Little Amal. Little Amal means hope in Arabic, by the way. This is all to raise awareness of the refugee crisis. So if she's near you, do go and see her, because she's huge and she's wandering along, and she will finish her journey in Manchester on the 3rd of November. So go and check her out. She is doing her things. That's the first thing to note. She's finally hit the UK. She's making her way up through the country. She's in Sheffield at the minute. My second story this morning about school children in a school in Renfrewshire in Scotland. Did I say that right, James? You know about Scotland and things.
Well, we have people here. We got Jonathan's in Edinburgh and Donna's in the Black Isle. I think Renfrewshire is that's what it was called when I was there. Definitely.
Well,
it's outside Glasgow.
They're having to do PE barefoot. And this is all to protect the new floor of their gym. So they've been waiting for a year for this floor, but none of them realized quite how fancy it was going to be, because now it's so fancy, they're not allowed to pick any marks on it. So they have to wear white-soled shoes. And if they haven't got those, they're not allowed just socks, because that's too skiddy. No. They have to go barefoot. So people are up in arms up in Scotland about the fact that they've waited. They've done PE outdoors for a whole year. And now they're in school and they're not allowed to do it. Apparently, there are going to be some shoes that they can borrow for the day eventually, a bit like when you used to wet your pants in those special shorts.
No, you don't want to borrow shoes in a... No, I can see a whole Veruca outbreak happening in the Renfrewshire area. It'll be awful. I would suggest, though, there's nothing wrong with being outside in bare feet. It's probably very good for you, unless you live in Scotland, in which case you'll freeze to death. But apart from that, it's fine.
Oh, yes, that's happening in Scotland. That's a story. Now, if you're a fan of fish and chips and salt on your fish and chips, go into an epic panic now, because we've had the petrol shortage, we've had the CO2 shortage. A well-known pub chain has run out of salt sachets, and people have been going berserk about this because they can't have salt on the fish and chips, and they're very angry. Apparently, with just vinegar, it's making people very, very angry. So I would suggest you take your own. My Nana used to take her own vinegar everywhere, but not in little sachets. She had in her handbag a little glass vinegar decanter that she would get out and pour on her chips or whatever, wherever we went. How it didn't spill and fill her bag with vinegar, I'll never know. But
did she also have like a ladder that came out of it as well? Was your grandma Mary Poppins?
Yeah.
That was marvellous. Daphne, you like a lot of salt on your chips. How do you feel about a salt shortage? What would we do?
The world would end.
The world would end. Yeah, so there we go. And what else have you got, Kirsten?
Well, I'm going to try and share my screen now. I've never done this before, so I've got a technical expert here to help me.
Hello, Pops.
I thought we'd do a slightly Halloween ending, which is a mum who, if anybody's been watching Bake Off, and we watch it together every week, You enjoy trying to have a go at the cakes that have been made and stuff. Well, this mum attempted to bake a cake for her 12-year-old little boy. She wanted a hedgehog cake. We've all tried it. We've all been there. We've all done it. She has turned hers into a horror cake. So we're going to hopefully share my screen now, and you can see this horror. Let's see. Oh, Fox is helping me out. Are you seeing that?
Yes, we're seeing that, and now we'll never unsee it. What is it?
Seeing all of this.
Oh, you're seeing my whole screen. Spread that out. There we go.
Is that a cake or a bowel movement?
Apparently people have been epically terrified by it. She's ended up making the most horrific hedgehog ever. But apparently it tastes delicious, so all is not lost there. She spent 5 hours on it and ended up with it like that. 5 whole hours, and that's what her son has ended up with. So there you go. Hopefully,
Marvelous. Oh, Kirsten, thank you so much for reading the news today. Yes. We got one final piece of news, which is that Daphne has a picture she needs to show you.
Excellent. Oh, look at that!
It's pretty scary, isn't it? I love it.
Incredible.
Absolutely love it. Thank you very much, Kirsten. Right, our next guest is Ted Giles. Ted, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. No, it's very nice to see you. I love your hat, by the way. That's wonderful.
I've had to duct tape my headphones on.
You are somebody that makes computer games. Is this
That's right? Yeah.
Wonderful. And how do you do that? What do you use to make computer games?
So I use 3D software called Maya, which I just put loads of shapes together. It's like Lego, but I'm making the Lego pieces. To put it
marvelous, marvelous. So when you were younger, were you a Lego fan?
Oh yeah. I was aiming to become a Lego builder, the people who put the kits together to make sure that they're working. And then I didn't.
we can't all be, can we?
No.
I think most of us would like to be Lego builders. That'd be wonderful. Well, so when you played with Lego as a child, were you the sort of person? Did you like the set? Did you like the set to come? Here's the instructions, or did you like a box of Lego?
Oh yeah, I just had a big box of just random bits. There'd be Lego everywhere, in the sink blocking it up. The dogs would be choking on it, you know.
Okay, it sounds slightly horrendous.
So
basically,
great time.
So you're a master builder. Absolutely wonderful. Well, can you show us? Can you show us what some of the things that you're making at the moment?
Yeah. So I made I'm just going to share the whole screen. This is a game. I'll show that in a second. And the way I've animated it is similar to how someone would do a puppet. So like a Mao, was it?
Yes.
So kind of like a Mao, how they've got people controlling them. I also control this, so I can move parts around, and you can see it affects everything.
Yeah.
You can make it so that the guy has his arms really spread out. And if I play this animation, I can show you. He's just sourcing along, doing a little saunter. And I can make him run, or I can keep him in place. And then I can bring him over to Unity, which is a games program. So you go from one to the other, and then in here I'll show you. I've put him in a little walking cycle, and he just walks on by, and that's it. But it doesn't stop there. You can go from this to much bigger things. So here I've been working on a game for the past 3 years. And it's nowhere near finished, which is the horrible truth of games design. Is nothing is ever finished on time. And I'll just press play and show you. It's a bit bright. I've had to make the guy green so people can see him. You just walk around, you can jump around, you can do everything. It's a bit like Mario on the Switch, I'd say. Just go around and do things. Push a house over with my feet. Now it's doing somersaults.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the physics in that world is that if you touch something, it moves. Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that'd be a house. That's the size of a house. That's meant to completely, you know, be heavy. And then here I'm in another world. We got freights moving on by. Yeah, sorry, I'm
No,
I'm
this
not
is
I'm not much of a presenter. So
no, that's absolutely fine. That's why we're here. It's absolutely wonderful. Yes, you go and have a little play. That's why I'm here. So this world that this chap is inhabiting, have you made all of that?
oh yeah, everything is where's this camera? Handmade.
Fantastic. Now,
It's all done on computer.
So obviously, lots of young people build things in Minecraft, don't they? Which is
Yeah.
a wonderful tool.
I love that
But
game.
obviously, with Minecraft, you can still only use the pieces that you've been given. That's right. I know you can add mods and things.
Yeah,
But with what you're doing, you said that it's like Lego, but you make the Lego bits.
exactly. Yeah.
So really, you can make the whole world exactly how you want it to be. It's absolutely amazing. I've just got one last question for you before we go on to talk to Jonathan. So my son is neurodiverse. He's on the autistic spectrum, and so he played with Lego a lot and he's one of these people. His fine motor skills are absolutely amazing. So even when he was 5, you could give him a really complicated set. Yes, you can eat that chocolate brownie. And so he would put things together so quickly. It would just be amazing. You know, I'd spend £80 on a Lego Star Wars thing, and he'd do it in half an hour. And I think I can't keep up with this. And what tends to happen? He's now 15. Well, he's 15 next week, and he yes, I can open the chocolate brownie. So what he says, what I tend to get emails and suggestions from people to get children into coding. Okay.
Yes.
And they say the sorts of kids that really like Minecraft and really like Lego. And particularly autistic people may also be particularly good at coding. But what I can't quite find for him is the right program for it to be self-taught. He doesn't like being taught by other people. He likes working everything out for himself. So the great thing about Lego is you go, here's the bricks, here's the instructions. You can just copy the pictures. Is there a good program for coding or for games creation that he would start with? Is there anything you can recommend?
Well, for modeling, for example, there's Blender, and with programming, he could use Unity, which is free, and there's a lot of documentation about it. So he can easily just go onto their website, and there's loads of information for him to just learn. And some of the best programmers are self-taught anyway, so
absolutely,
that's way up his field.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ted. It's been an absolute privilege to hear your amazing skill. Thank you for the...
Perhaps a Griff the Sheep platform action game.
Yeah, well, I was actually trying to make a Griff the Sheep, but I couldn't handle your magnificence. So the computer crashed quite a few times.
As it should.
As it should. Maybe next time I'll have a better PC.
Lovely. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ted. Okay, then. So our next guest, our final guest for today's show, is the wonderful author, Jonathan Mears. Jonathan,
are we back in the room? I've waited 45 minutes, and so unprofessional. By the way, to answer your question, I'm very well, thank you. And hello, everybody at home and everything. Griff is not the only guy not to get the memo about it being Halloween. I thought it was a Christmas theme, hence spending the last, 3 days cultivating this Santa look. Especially, it'll be coming off. In fact, we could be brothers, Griff. In a week.
It's a Halloween Santa beard. It's perfectly in keeping.
And also, before I start banging on about myself endlessly, Ted, that was fascinating. But I can't believe James being a comedic tour de force. That when he said, "Here's Ted," and he's got a mushroom on his head, and I can't believe you didn't say, "Looks like a fun guy."
Hey, that's why we got you in, Jonathan. I saved that joke for you. Now, Jonathan, before we get into your books and stuff, are you alarmed by the salt shortage? Because you live in Edinburgh, where the whole thing is salt and sauce. Salt and
sauce. That's what Sean Connery has.
I also noticed I spent quite a lot of time in Edinburgh fish and chip shops in my earlier days, and otherwise I'd have died of hunger. And but I can also remember there's a particular thing with the Edinburgh dialect, which means that in a fish and chip shop, you become the food that you've ordered. Have you noticed this? So you can stand there and then the lady will yell out, "Are you the single fish?"
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Actually,
Actually, I'm married.
Shopper? And I go, yeah, I am. I don't think I am a sausage shopper, but that is what I ordered.
Well, I've
So
been
yeah,
called
of
some
course in
things.
Scotland, if you want chips for something, then it's a supper. Is that correct?
It's a supper. You don't ask for
Mhm.
fish and chips. It's a fish supper or a sausage supper.
Yeah, which basically means I want
it's-
chips with it.
It's
doesn't
been
it?
a long time since I was in a chip shop. And it's
Ah.
actually chips is one of the few things that I do have salt on because I try to watch my health and everything. You know, I overindulge with salt on chips and also on pizza. But apart from that, I try to. So it hasn't really affected me all that much, to be honest.
Marvelous. Now, I remember the first time I met you, I interviewed you on what, in hindsight, was almost like a proto version of what we're doing here.
I remember it well.
So, the Book People, which I think are sadly no longer in existence, they sponsored my idea to have an internet streamed chat show with authors. And we did it in the Arts Theatre just off Leicester Square in London.
I remember it well.
And I can't remember who the other guest was, but I think you were on one of the
It was
first
Sophie.
shows.
I was thinking about this morning. It was Sophie Mackenzie.
Sophie Mackenzie. Now she wrote, "You can have those, darling." Yes, basically, I'm just going to feed my daughter more chocolate because it's
Sprinkle a bit of salt on it first, with a bit of salt on it.
Oh yeah, salt and sauce on the buns. So yeah, Sophie Mackenzie. We must get her on the accidental show, wouldn't we? She's,
I remember that well. It was
She just written a book about the chessmen of Lewis coming to life in the British Museum and going into a Norse world, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and you were on that show as well. And you were talking about your world of Norm books.
I was.
I still have, and I love them. Have you got one to hand? Can you show us a world?
Well, it's funny you should say that, James.
Yes,
it's
almost. And there was a whole series, wasn't there?
There were 12 of the blighters in the end. This is just they're all in the back. Yeah. Yes, I wrote one. I knew there were going to be 2 to begin with, but I had no idea there were going to be 3, let alone 12. Had I known that there was going to be 12 in the series, there might have been some kind of coherent story arc with a beginning and a middle and an end. But I just kept writing them one after the other because they kind of were doing okay. And consequently, they can be read. They're standalone books. They can be read in any order. So there was like it was kind of a happy. You can literally read them in any order you want. But yeah, there ended up being 12 of them, and nobody was more surprised than myself. I have to say. Wonderful. And what's your latest book? You've got a book called Scaredy Bat. Is that correct? Yes. Again, funny you should say that. Yes. I've written. Actually, this is my first picture book. My first 2 books were published like way back in the 20th century. Right, kids? Ask your gran. In 1998. 1998. Yes, mate. My first 2 books were picture books, and after that, I kind of did like more middle grade stuff and teen stuff. So this is quite a significant book. Well, it's significant for me because it's my first picture book. I didn't do the illustrations. An amazing Danish illustrator called Anders Frang did the pictures. So my first picture book for 21 years, which I'm very proud of, and it's quite significant. So yes, it's called Scaredy Bat. Not overtly Halloween, but yes, it's got a bat. It's got a bat in it, and it's got the word "scaredy" in it. Well, I was wondering. I mean, last week we had North on. Her book was like that thick. Yes. And she read us the second half of the first chapter. But I was wondering, as it's a picture book, maybe would it be possible if we can now have like a Jack and Nori moment, and you could just read us Scaredy Bat? Well, I'll do my best. I'm aware of the time. We'll have to whiz through it. And I know we're running a bit late, but there's nothing happening afterwards, as far as I know. Okay. We're not on the BBC, so if we overrun, it's fine. So read the book, take your time. Let's all listen to a story, everyone. If I was a little bit more tech savvy, I could share the PowerPoint. You could all look at the illustrations at home. So it's going to be a bit naff. I'm going to read it. I'm going to shove the book in the camera, and we'll see what happens. And I'm going to whiz through it slightly faster than I would in normal circumstances. So there we are. There's the book. It's called Scaredy Bat, and it's by me, Jonathan Mears, with illustrations by the very amazing and very Danish Anders Frang. Or as I like to call him, because it's a bat theme and Halloween, Anders Fang. So here we are.
That's funny.
Thanks, Griff. Thanks very much.
You did it again.
I know. I'm a one-man. I mean, anyway, here we go. Here we go. I'm going into my storytelling voice now, because all storytellers all Here we go. Night was fading in the dark. dark wood. It's going to take a long time at this rate. Light was dribbling in and filling up all the cracks. Things were stirring. Wings were whirring. The sun was yawning. Day was dawning. It was morning in the dark, dark wood. But not all creatures were waking and shaking in a hollow of the old oak tree. Big Bat, Middle Bat, and Little Bat snuggled up and closed their eyes. All night long they'd fizzed and whizzed. Now it was time to rest and dream upside down dreams. Can't sleep, said Little Bat. Shush, Little Bat, said Middle Bat. It's getting early. Yes, said Big Bat. If you don't go to sleep, you'll be tired in the evening. Little Bat closed his eyes much tighter, but the dark, dark wood was getting lighter, shining brighter, the air full of buzzing and humming and drumming. Little Bat didn't like it. Not one little bit. Can't sleep, said Little Bat. You're not scared of the light, are you? Grinned Big Bat. No, said Little Bat. You are, laughed Middle Bat. Scaredy Bat, Scaredy Bat, na 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 na, sang Big Bat and Middle Bat together. Little Bat fluttered to the entrance of the hollow, knew what he had to do, had to show the other two, did not find the teasing pleasing, knew that it was time for leaving. Where are you going? Said Big Bat. Outside, said Little Bat bravely. Oh, said Middle Bat. Look out for the bogey bat. Things that go bump in the day, said Big Bat. Scaredy Bat, Scaredy Bat, na 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 na. Little Bat peered. Oh, here we are. Yeah, here we are. So we can edit this out later. Little Bat peered out from the old oak tree. The dark, dark wood wasn't dark anymore. Little Bat not feeling quite so sure, but with a 1, 2, 3, and an upside down whee! He spread his wings and let go. There he goes, whizzing through the dark, dark wood that isn't dark at all anymore. Little Bat fizzed and whizzed, zoomed and barooned, swooped and looped and swooped and whooped and looped the looped, weaved in and out of branches, turned cartwheels in the air. Little Bat felt brave. Little Bat felt good. Little Bat felt like king of the dark, dark wood. Oh yeah. But just when he thought there was nothing to worry about, nothing to hurry or scurry back home about, Little Bat had a feeling he wasn't alone. Saw something flicker, heart beating quicker. Hard not to think that it must be the bogey bat! Ah! Shrieked Little Bat, sensing disaster, rooming and fizzing and whizzing much faster. But wherever Little Bat flew, the bogey bat flew too, until Little Bat began to see there was nothing to be scared of. The bogey bat was just his shadow. Whee! Went Little Bat, heading for home, pretending that he'd always known. Back in the hollow of the old oak tree, Big Bat and Middle Bat started to wonder, grew more worried by the minute, wanted Little Bat back in it. Where could he be? Said Big Bat. Go and see, said Middle Bat. No, you go and see, said Big Bat. Let's both go and see, said Middle Bat. Big Bat and Middle Bat peered out of the hollow, both afraid that the other wouldn't follow, listening for things that went bump in the day. They were scared of the light, but they didn't like to say. Big Bat and Middle Bat watched and waited, wishing Little Bat would come back to the tree again. And then, boo! Went Little Bat, suddenly appearing. No! Screamed Big Bat and Middle Bat together. Scaredy bats, sang Little Bat with glee. Back in the hollow of the oak tree.
That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. So they were scared of the day because of the bogey bat, which just turned out to be the shadow. Because I suppose if you only fly around at night,
fears and stuff, James.
Yes,
fears. Going back to what Donna was saying earlier.
Well, maybe Donna can.
Sorry.
Maybe Donna can jump in here.
Exactly.
Donna, does that fit in with your work as well?
Absolutely, James. I think that's it about conquering our fears and looking at the shadows, looking at these sort of darkness and seeing that there's light.
And the fact that when you analyze things, things that we're afraid of aren't necessarily scary at all. And it's okay to be scared. And often the things that we are most scared about aren't scary at all.
Exactly. And just making peace and friends with that. Totally. Beautiful.
Daphne, do you have a question you'd like to ask Jonathan about writing?
Come on, Daphne. Let's have it.
Have you got any tips for children's writing?
For children's writing, my main tip to children who ask me, have I got any tips for writing, is don't bother. I don't need the competition, frankly. It's hard. It's a tough gig these days, isn't it, James? No, but seriously, the answer that parents and grown-ups and teachers and librarians always like to hear is, my main tip is just to read and read and read and read. I don't think you can expect, unless you have extraordinarily magical powers, which I most certainly don't, you cannot possibly be expected to become a writer without having read loads and loads of books. So my main advice, Daphne, would be to read every book in the world. And also, just have, I know it's like all very well for some old duffer like me to say, just have a go, just have a go. Write something that you yourself would like to read. Don't write something that you think other people would like to read, unless of course you've been asked to write something specific by your teacher or a grown-up or whatever. Imagine that you are the audience, you're writing for yourself. Would you like to read this yourself? And don't be discouraged. And it's terribly easy for me to say, but just read loads of books, write what you yourself would like to. It's like the same when you're buying a book. But if there are any boring old grown-ups reading this, buy a book for your little person that you think they would like to read, not what you think they would like to read. So yeah, read loads of stuff, write what you yourself would like to read, and just have a go. Just nobody's going to see it. Just have a go. So I hope that's helpful, Daphne.
And just off the back of that, if you read lots and lots of books, then what you can do, if you can't come up with any ideas, you can take one word from the first book you read, and then the next word from the second book, and then the next from the third, and you don't have to come up with anything. You can just take one word from each book. It's technically not plagiarism, because no one can find it out, and then you've got yourself a whole book. That's what James does.
Top tip there, Griff.
Thanks, Griff. That's very helpful. Of course, if anybody is out there that would like to do more writing, then I do run a writing school online where we do writing lessons for children who really like writing. So just get in touch and find out more.
And they're brilliant.
I think you appeared as one of my first guests when we were doing it in lockdown, because when we had nothing else to do.
I know. The only other thing I had to do was grow a beard. I did do one of your early sessions and it was excellent. So I can thoroughly recommend those two. to anybody watching.
Marvelous. Jonathan, thank you so much for your time today. It's been wonderful to have you on the Accidental Show. We shall have you on again next season.
Marvelous.
So next week on the Accidental Show, next Saturday, we've got the wonderful Joanna Nadin will be on the show, and she's an amazing writer. And her book, The World's Worst Class, I think is doing very well. She can be talking about that. She also, if you watch things like on CBBC, Joe All Alone, which won a BAFTA, well, she wrote the book that was based on. She also teaches writing at the University of Bath, so she's pretty clever. We've also got who? Break. Yeah, go and have a break. And we've also got the illustrator of her book, Rikin Parek. He's going to be on the show, so he's going to show us how to draw naughty school children. That'll be lots and lots and lots of fun. That's what's happening next week on the Accidental Show. So all it remains to do today is to remind you to send in your photographs of your monster. But let's just have a quick look around the room and see if anybody actually managed more. Yeah, there's Zoom user, great names, doing well there. Isabel, yeah, some great monster scary books. This Daphne's abandoned hers. I'm not sure. We'll work on that later. Look at Alice and Pooh. They've done some fantastic things. Isaac and Malachi, love it, love it, love it. Look at Ophelia. What is that? So like a pink-faced, scary. That's terrifying. Very Halloweeny. Aggie has drawn. It looks like a tooth, but you're only on a very small screen to me, like a tooth monster. Is it a tooth monster, Aggie?
Tom, the spooky guy up in the top of the screen, has done some amazing artwork. I can see. I don't know if you can see that too, James.
Yeah, Tom, show us your. Yeah, Tom's pretty handy with a pen. Tom is also our regular co-host. So in fact, next week, I believe. Well, next week, no, it's Kate the next week. Next week, week after next, Tom will be hosting the show with me. But thank you so much to all of our guests today. First of all, we had Trudi Esberger. Thank you very much for inspiring us with some art today. We'll see you again. Thank you so much to Donna Grant. The closest thing we could find to a witch. And thank you so much for Kirsten for stepping in to do the news for us today, and for Ted showing his wonderful imagination in the animation department, and finally to Jonathan Mears, our author special guest. All of the books that we've mentioned today you can get from our associated independent online bookshop, which is called How Brave is the Wren. They don't always have all the books everywhere because it's just Jenny, but they can get anything you want. So if you want to buy a book, if you stick the word accident into the coupon, as in accidental show, if you put in accident into the coupon box, you'll get 10% off whatever you buy. And what they're also really amazing at doing is you can just say to them, can you send me a book once a week? And they will choose something for you. So they are an amazing bookshop. So please do support them and other independent bookshops. Also, if you want to support what we're doing, in the email after the show, there's a PayPal address. Send us a donation, because that way we'll be able to afford to do a next season, next spring, and we'll be able to have all these wonderful guests and all the wonderful things that we do. So thank you so much. Daphne, would you like to have the final word?
Griff, work on your fear of dragons and stop letting it happen.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the Accidental Show. See you all next week. Goodbye.
Bye.